Claire Matthews, a world-renowned wellness expert, arrives incognito at the prestigious luxury spa, Ocean Crest. Although she has helped countless high-end hotels and spas elevate their services, Claire maintains a modest demeanor. This time, she chooses to remain undercover, posing as a regular guest to observe and experience the services at Ocean Crest before beginning the transformation she has been hired to conduct. Ocean Crest, located along the breathtaking Californian coastline, is famous for its high-end luxury, but recently it has faced criticism for being unwelcoming to a diverse range of guests. Rumors of elitist attitudes and a hidden class system within the spa prompt Claire to investigate the true nature of the place beneath its glamorous facade. From the moment Claire steps through the doors of Ocean Crest, she senses the undercurrent of exclusivity. Dressed in a simple but elegant outfit, Claire doesn't match the perfect image Ocean Crest seems to prioritize. The lobby is designed to impress. Marble floors gleam, the ceilings stretch high, and chandeliers sparkle like captured stars. The soothing scent of lavender fills the air, accompanied by soft, tranquil music. Everything about Ocean Crest screams luxury and perfection, but Claire detects an invisible barrier, one she knows she'll have to dismantle. At the front desk, Lucy Adams, a young receptionist, greets Claire with a polite smile, though a slight tension in her voice betrays the pressure of working in such a high-standard environment. "Good afternoon. Welcome to Ocean Crest," Lucy says, her voice professional but warm. "Do you have a reservation?" "Yes, it's under Claire Matthews," Claire responds, her tone calm, but her eyes sharply taking in every detail of the spa's operation. As Lucy checks the reservation, Henry Wallace, the spa's manager, strides over with an air of authority. Without glancing at Claire, Henry focuses on the computer screen, his demeanor cold and dismissive. He speaks to Lucy without acknowledging Claire's presence. "Make sure she's aware of our policies," Henry orders briskly, especially regarding restricted access areas. The lack of direct respect is clear, but Claire remains composed. She quietly takes note of Henry's condescending attitude. Thanking Lucy for her help, Claire accepts her room key and begins mentally cataloging the flaws she's already uncovered. Claire checks into her room, a beautifully appointed suite with a view of the ocean, but she can't ignore the impression left by Henry's behavior. It was clear that her appearance had led him to judge her as less important than the spa's more elite guests. Later, Claire decides to explore the spa's amenities. Her first attempt to access the exclusive relaxation lounge is quickly thwarted when a young staff member checks her room key and shakes his head. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but this area is for Platinum and Gold members only," he says with barely concealed disdain. Claire raises an eyebrow but remains calm. "I was under the impression that all guests had access," she replies. "I'm afraid not," the staff member responds curtly. Claire walks away, her suspicions deepening. It's clear the spa's luxury is not for everyone. It's reserved for those deemed worthy by the staff and management. She makes another mental note. This isn't just about luxury services, but about who is considered deserving of them. That evening, Claire books a massage to continue evaluating the spa's services. She is greeted by Jake Richards, a young, muscular massage therapist with a warm, genuine smile. Unlike most of the staff, Jake's kindness and professionalism immediately make Claire feel comfortable. However, as Jake begins the session, another staff member barges into the room and loudly reprimands him for not sticking to the exact schedule. The tension is palpable as the staff member shoots a disdainful glance at Claire before storming out, leaving Jake looking apologetic. "I'm so sorry about that, Ms. Matthews," Jake says quietly. "We're a bit short-staffed, and things have been hectic." Claire reassures him, appreciating his professionalism. "It's not your fault, Jake. You're doing great," she responds kindly. This interaction further solidifies her understanding of the toxic internal culture at Ocean Crest. The problem isn't just the treatment of guests, it's the demoralization of the staff as well. Determined to gather more insight, Claire decides to join a yoga class the next morning, thinking it's open to all guests. As she quietly slips into the back of the room, the instructor suddenly stops mid-session and walks over to her. "I'm sorry, but this class is reserved for our elite members," the instructor says loudly, causing several guests to glance over at Claire. The public embarrassment stings, but Claire keeps her composure. I was told this was a general session, she replies evenly. The instructor shakes her head dismissively, and as Claire prepares to leave, she notices Henry Wallace watching from the corner of the room, his face a mask of irritation. I apologize for any confusion, Ms. Matthews, he says, his tone insincere, but we must maintain our standards. I see, Claire responds coolly, excusing herself from the room. Inside, her mind races. She's witnessed enough to confirm that this spa is plagued by deep-seated issues of exclusivity and elitism. The time to reveal her identity is approaching. Back in her suite, Claire receives a notification on her phone. It's a message from Margaret Henson, the spa's owner, requesting a private meeting the next morning. A small smile crosses Claire's face. She knows it's almost time to step out of the shadows and start the transformation process. Margaret is a wealthy, driven woman in her 50s, who deeply cares about the image and reputation of Ocean Crest. However, Claire suspects that Margaret is unaware of the toxic culture her staff and management have created under her watch. While Margaret has been focused on maintaining the spa's luxury branding, the treatment of both guests and employees has deteriorated. Claire knows that this meeting will be a pivotal moment. She must convince Margaret that the future of Ocean Crest depends not just on maintaining its luxury services, but on fostering a culture of inclusivity, respect, and genuine care. The time for change is now. Claire has successfully completed the first phase of her mission at Ocean Crest. She has observed the toxic atmosphere, witnessed the elitist attitudes firsthand, and is now prepared to confront management. The path ahead will be challenging, but Claire is determined to push forward and lead Ocean Crest toward a brighter, more inclusive future. The morning after her experiences of exclusion, Claire walks into her meeting with Margaret Henson, the spa's owner, fully prepared to reveal the true purpose of her stay at Ocean Crest. Margaret, a petite woman in her 50s with silver blonde hair, greets Claire warmly, completely unaware that the guest she's been hosting is one of the most respected wellness consultants in the world. Margaret gestures for Claire to sit, offering a cup of herbal tea. It's wonderful to finally meet you, Claire. I've heard nothing but good things about your work, Margaret says with a smile. Claire, maintaining her professional poise, replies, Thank you, Margaret. I've had a few days to observe the spa's operations, and I'd love to share my thoughts. I believe Ocean Crest has the potential to be extraordinary, but there are some cultural issues that need addressing if we want to elevate it to the next level. Margaret tilts her head, intrigued but slightly cautious. I expected as much. Please tell me what you've discovered. Claire then details her findings: the exclusivity, the prejudice against non-elite guests, and the toxic attitude fostered by the management, particularly Henry Wallace. Claire tactfully points out that while Ocean Crest has mastered the art of luxury, it lacks inclusivity, a key element in today's wellness industry. Margaret's expression shifts from curiosity to concern as Claire continues. What I've seen is a spa that excludes people based on appearance, wealth, and status. The experience isn't about well-being for all guests. It's about catering to a select few. And this attitude trickles down to the staff, creating a tense and toxic work environment. Margaret leans back in her chair, clearly troubled by Claire's insights. I had no idea things had gotten so divided, she admits quietly. I've always prided myself on running a place of excellence, but I see now that we've lost touch with the heart of what a wellness spa should be. Claire nods, understanding the difficult position Margaret is in. You're not alone in this. Many luxury brands face the same challenge. The good news is, with the right changes, Ocean Crest can evolve into something truly special. Margaret straightens, regaining some of her usual confidence. You're right. I'm ready to make those changes, but I know Henry will resist. He's been with me for years, and he's deeply committed to maintaining the image we've built. Claire leans forward slightly, her tone firm but encouraging. Henry's loyalty to the spa is admirable, but his attitude toward guests and staff is part of the problem. If we're going to turn this place around, we need to work together, and that includes Henry. Margaret agrees and decides to support Claire's plans to initiate change, but she warns that it won't be easy to win over the staff, especially Henry, who has always been resistant to anything that might disrupt the status quo. After her meeting with Margaret, Claire begins quietly putting her plan into motion. She starts by spending more time with the staff, observing their interactions and slowly building relationships with key members. Jake Richards, the kind-hearted massage therapist, and Lucy Adams, the warm but nervous receptionist, are two of the first people to openly show support for her. Jake confides in Claire about the pressures he faces. "I love working here, but sometimes it feels like I'm just another cog in the machine. The way Henry runs things, it doesn't leave much room for us to really connect with the guests. It's all about keeping up appearances." Claire listens carefully, noting how Henry's rigid control over the spa's operations is stifling not just the staff, but the overall guest experience. Lucy, on the other hand, shares a different side of the story. "It's hard to stay positive when you're constantly being told to focus on status. I've been reprimanded for being too friendly with some of the guests who aren't platinum or gold members. I just want to treat everyone kindly, but that's not the culture here." Claire realizes that the staff is divided. There are those like Jake and Lucy who want a more inclusive environment, and then there are others like Samantha Green, a senior staff member who fully supports Henry's elitist policies and fiercely resists any kind of change. As Claire continues to immerse herself in the day-to-day workings of the spa, she experiences more incidents of exclusion. One particularly humiliating moment occurs when she attempts to participate in a wellness class. Without warning, the instructor stops the session, walks over to her, and loudly informs her that the class is for elite members only. Claire's face remains calm, but inside she feels the sting of public rejection. As the other guests turn to stare, she quietly excuses herself from the room. Once again, Henry's influence over the spa's operations is on full display. His rigid, elitist mindset has created an environment where even the smallest misstep in a guest status is punished with exclusion. Afterward, Claire reflects on the situation in the quiet of her suite. She knows that for the spa to truly change, she'll have to confront Henry directly. His leadership is holding Ocean Crest back, and until he's willing to embrace a new approach, the spa will continue to suffer. Claire's decision to confront Henry Wallace comes sooner than expected. Later that day, while observing the interactions in the lobby, she notices Henry brusquely dismissing a guest who had requested access to a relaxation area without the proper membership level. The guest leaves, clearly embarrassed and upset. Claire approaches Henry calmly. "That guest didn't deserve to be treated that way," she says quietly but firmly. Henry turns to her, clearly irritated. "This is how we maintain our standards, Ms. Matthews. If we start letting anyone in, we'll lose the exclusivity that makes this place special." Claire holds her ground. "Exclusivity isn't what makes a spa great, Henry. It's the way you make people feel. Right now, you're driving guests away with your attitude." Henry's face tightens and he crosses his arms defensively. "You have no idea what it takes to run a place like this." "I do," Claire responds calmly. "And I know that if you keep treating people this way, the reputation you're so concerned about will collapse." Their conversation ends in a tense stalemate, with Henry walking away, clearly unwilling to listen to Claire's point of view. But she's undeterred. She knows that the only way forward is to push harder, to get Henry and the staff to see that the spa's current path isn't sustainable. A few days later, Claire receives a message from Margaret requesting another meeting. The spa owner looks more anxious than before, having just received complaints from a high-profile guest. The guest had experienced subpar service and was offended by the elitist attitude of the staff. "This is exactly what I feared," Margaret says, pacing the floor. "We've alienated some of our most important guests. I don't know how to fix this." Claire knows this is her opportunity. "Margaret, this is why we need to change. Not just the services we offer, but the way we treat people. Ocean Crest has to be more than just luxury on the surface. It needs to make every guest feel valued." Margaret nods, but her uncertainty lingers. "You're right, Claire. But convincing Henry and the staff, that's going to be the hard part." Margaret gives Claire her full support, allowing her to begin conducting workshops for the staff on inclusivity and empathy. The first workshop, held in one of the spa's serene garden rooms, is attended by the entire staff. Claire stands in front of the group, sensing their skepticism, particularly from Henry, who sits in the back with his arms crossed. "Today we're going to talk about how we can improve the guest experience," Claire begins, her voice calm but firm. "It's not just about luxury, It's about making sure every person who walks through these doors feels like they belong here. The room is quiet, but Claire can feel the tension. She knows that breaking through the resistance won't happen overnight, but she's determined to plant the seeds of change. She invites the staff to share their own experiences of feeling excluded or judged, hoping to spark a discussion that will open their eyes to the deeper issues at play. Jake is the first to speak up, sharing a story about how he's been stereotyped because of his appearance. Sometimes I feel like no matter how hard I work, I'm still seen as less than because I don't fit the image of what a high-end spa therapist should look like. His words resonate with several other staff members, including Lucy, who talks about being overlooked in previous jobs because of her accent. Slowly, more people begin to share their stories, but Claire notices that Henry remains silent, his expression hard and unyielding. The workshop ends with mixed feelings. While some staff members seem to embrace Claire's message, others remain skeptical, and Claire knows that Henry's resistance will be the biggest hurdle to overcome. Later that day, Claire crosses paths with Henry in the hallway. He stops her, his frustration bubbling over. "I don't know what you're trying to accomplish with these workshops, but it's not going to work. You're asking us to change who we are." "I'm asking you to change how you see people," Claire replies, her voice calm but unwavering. "Ocean Crest can still be a place of luxury, but it should also be a place where everyone feels welcome." Henry shakes his head, still unwilling to concede. "You'll ruin this place." Claire meets his gaze, unafraid. "No, Henry. What's going to ruin this place is your refusal to see the value in people beyond their bank accounts." With that, Claire walks away, leaving Henry standing in the hallway, visibly shaken by the conversation but still too proud to admit she might be right. Claire's efforts to change the culture at Ocean Crest have begun, but the resistance she faces, especially from Henry, threatens to derail her progress. As tensions rise, she must find a way to bring the staff, including Henry, on board before it's too late. The stakes have been raised, and the emotional pressure is building. The time had come for Claire Matthews to fully reveal her identity. After several days of silently observing Ocean Crest and its toxic culture, Claire knows that in order to enact the changes she's planning, she needs to make her true role known. During a scheduled meeting between Claire, Margaret Henson, and the senior staff, Claire calmly stands at the head of the table. The tension in the room is palpable. Henry Wallace, still skeptical of Claire's presence, sits with his arms crossed, a deep frown on his face. He has no idea what's coming. Margaret begins the meeting with her usual poised grace, introducing Claire once again as a consultant. But before she can continue, Claire steps forward. "Thank you, Margaret," Claire says, her voice steady and firm. "But I think it's time I reveal my true purpose here at Ocean Crest." The staff exchanges confused glances. Henry narrows his eyes, suspicion growing. "I'm not just a guest, nor am I merely a consultant. I've been hired to evaluate the entire spa, from the services you provide to the way you treat both your guests and your staff." Claire continues, "I'm a wellness expert, and my goal here is to transform Ocean Crest into something far greater than what it is now. But that means we need to address some deep-seated issues, starting with how we view inclusivity." There's a stunned silence in the room. Henry's face hardens, but Margaret looks relieved. She had been anticipating this moment. Henry is the first to break the silence, his tone filled with disbelief and anger. "You've been here to spy on us? This is outrageous. We've built this spa on a foundation of exclusivity and luxury. What you're suggesting will ruin everything we've worked for." Claire doesn't flinch. She knew Henry would react this way. "I understand your concerns, Henry," she says calmly. "But this isn't about tearing down what you've built. It's about expanding it. Right now, Ocean Crest alienates people, guests and staff alike, based on superficial standards. If we continue down this path, you'll lose more than just a few guests. You'll lose the heart of what this spa could be." Henry scoffs, his hands tightening on the armrests of his chair. "Luxury is exclusivity. We don't cater to just anyone." Claire holds his gaze. "Luxury is also about experience. It's about making people feel cared for, respected, and valued, regardless of their wealth or status. If we want Ocean Crest to thrive, we need to shift our focus." Margaret steps in, sensing the growing tension. "Henry, I think Claire has a point. We've had several complaints recently, and the market is changing. People want more than just extravagance. They want connection, inclusivity, and care. Henry looks at Margaret, his face filled with frustration. Are you really going to side with her on this? Margaret nods. I am. It's time for a change. With Margaret's backing, Claire lays out her plan for Ocean Crest. She emphasizes that the spa doesn't need to sacrifice its luxury image, but instead needs to redefine what luxury means. Her proposal includes inclusivity training for staff. Claire outlines a series of workshops to help the staff understand the importance of inclusivity, not just for guests but for each other. The goal is to create an environment where everyone, regardless of their appearance or background, feels welcome and respected. Service revamp. Claire proposes updating the spa's services to be more inclusive, offering more accessible packages that don't compromise quality but open the doors to a broader clientele. This includes new wellness programs designed to cater to a variety of needs and budgets. Internal culture shift. Claire stresses the importance of transforming the internal culture of Ocean Crest. She notes how the toxic attitudes and rigidity of the current management style, mainly Henry's, are hurting staff morale and, by extension, the guest experience. The rest of the staff listens intently, and some begin to nod in agreement. Jake Richards and Lucy Adams, who had already shown support for Claire, are visibly relieved. They had been waiting for someone to speak out against the old rigid system. Despite the supportive reactions from many of the staff, Henry isn't convinced. His deep-rooted belief in maintaining exclusivity has been challenged, and he isn't ready to accept Claire's vision. I won't stand for this, Henry declares. If you push forward with this plan, you'll alienate our core clientele. These changes might sound idealistic, but they'll drive away the guests who have kept this place successful. Claire stands firm. What you're suggesting is that Ocean Crest should continue excluding people based on wealth or status. That's not sustainable, Henry. Times are changing, and so are people's expectations. Henry shakes his head. I know our guests better than you ever will. I've worked hard to maintain this spa's reputation. You're asking me to throw all of that away for a fantasy of inclusivity. Realizing that Henry won't be easily swayed, Claire decides to shift her focus. She begins working directly with the rest of the staff, starting with those who have shown an openness to her ideas. Lucy is one of the first to approach Claire after the meeting. I've been wanting to say this for a while, she confides. We need this change. The way things are now, it's suffocating. I've seen too many guests walk out of here feeling like they didn't belong. And the staff, well, we're not much better off. Claire smiles, grateful for Lucy's support. Thank you, Lucy. It's people like you who will make this transformation possible. But we need more voices to speak up. Jake Richards also approaches Claire with a similar sentiment. I've been here for years and I've seen how this place treats people, both guests and staff. If we can make this spa more welcoming, we'll not only keep our current clientele, but we'll bring in new guests who might have never felt comfortable here before. Together, Claire, Jake, and Lucy begin quietly building momentum among the other staff members, gathering their concerns and helping them see the benefits of the proposed changes. As more staff members begin to support Claire's vision, Henry Wallace becomes increasingly isolated. He starts holding private meetings with Samantha Green and other like-minded staff members who share his belief that changing Ocean Crest will destroy its prestige. In these meetings, Henry spreads fear, telling the staff that Claire's changes will lead to the spa's downfall. We've always been about exclusivity, he tells them. It's what sets us apart. If we start letting anyone in, we'll lose what makes Ocean Crest special. Some of the staff members, especially those loyal to Henry, are swayed by his arguments. They start to doubt Claire's plan, creating an undercurrent of resistance that threatens to derail the transformation. The staff's growing division begins to show in small but significant ways. Some employees intentionally undermine Claire's efforts, delivering subpar service to guests who don't fit their perception of elite. Samantha Green is one of the ringleaders of this resistance, making passive-aggressive comments during staff meetings and encouraging others to reject the inclusivity training. Meanwhile, Henry continues to voice his concerns to Margaret, trying to convince her to abandon Claire's plan. But Margaret, while shaken by the growing discord, remains firm in her decision to support Claire. During one particularly tense staff meeting, Henry directly challenges Claire in front of everyone. What makes you think you know what's best for this spa? He asks, his voice dripping with skepticism. You've been here for a week, and you think you can just waltz in and change everything? Claire doesn't back down. I'm not here to tear down what you built, Henry. I'm here to make it better. You say this spa is about luxury, but true luxury is about making every guest feel valued. Right now, you're shutting people out. Henry's eyes flash with anger. I'm protecting what's made this place great. And what's made it great is your attention to detail, Claire replies. But what's going to make it thrive is a new mindset, one that embraces people, not excludes them. The staff meeting ends on a tense note, and it's clear that the conflict between Claire and Henry is far from over. But something has shifted. Even those who had been loyal to Henry are starting to see the cracks in his arguments. Claire knows she's making progress, but the battle isn't won yet. As the emotional stakes rise, she realizes that the next step is crucial. Henry's rebellion is becoming more vocal, and if she can't bring him around, or at least neutralize his influence, the transformation of Ocean Crest might fail before it even starts. With Claire's identity revealed, the emotional tension between her and Henry reaches a new level. The staff is divided, and resistance to change is mounting. Claire's next moves will determine whether Ocean Crest can truly embrace a new, more inclusive future, or if the old ways will prevail. As Claire's plan begins to take root, the resistance from Henry Wallace and his allies intensifies. Henry gathers a small group of staff members, including Samantha Green, who are loyal to his vision of Ocean Crest as a place of exclusivity and elitism. In secret meetings, Henry warns them that Claire's changes will dilute the spa's prestige. This isn't just about luxury, Henry tells them, his tone forceful. It's about maintaining our brand. If we lower our standards, we'll lose the clientele that made Ocean Crest what it is. Samantha nods in agreement, her expression stern. I've worked too hard to see this place turn into some ordinary wellness retreat. We have to stand our ground. Their strategy is subtle but effective. They begin undermining Claire's initiatives in small ways, failing to implement changes fully, dragging their feet on new procedures, and quietly spreading doubt among the rest of the staff. While Claire works diligently to gain support from other employees, she senses the growing opposition. She knows that Henry is the ringleader, but for now she lets it play out, waiting for the right moment to confront him directly. Despite the growing undercurrent of resistance, Claire continues her workshops with the staff, focusing on inclusivity, empathy, and the importance of making every guest feel valued. Each workshop is carefully crafted to challenge the staff's perspectives, helping them understand how the current culture of exclusion is harmful not only to guests, but to the spa's long-term success. Jake Richards is one of the first staff members to fully embrace Claire's teachings. During one of the workshops, he shares a powerful story about his own experiences with being judged based on appearance. When I first started here, I could tell that some of the guests, and even some of the staff, looked at me and thought I didn't belong, Jake says, his voice steady but filled with emotion. It took time for me to prove myself, but I know there are guests who feel that same way every time they walk in here. We need to change that. His words resonate with many of the staff, and slowly more people begin to open up. Lucy Adams, always supportive of Claire, shares her struggles with feeling invisible in her role at the front desk. I've always tried to be welcoming, but sometimes I feel like no matter how much I smile, it doesn't make a difference. I want to be part of something that values people for more than just their status. Claire nods, recognizing that small victories like this are essential for the transformation to take hold. However, Claire is aware that not everyone is on board. Samantha Green and other members of Henry's faction continue to subtly sabotage the workshops and Claire's efforts to implement new policies. During one particularly critical moment, Samantha deliberately undermines a new guest service protocol by ignoring a request from a guest who wasn't a platinum member. The guest leaves feeling snubbed, and word begins to spread that Ocean Crest is still as exclusive and unwelcoming as ever. Claire confronts Samantha after hearing about the incident. This isn't how we treat guests, she says, her voice calm but firm. Samantha shrugs, her tone indifferent. I was following the old rules. That's what our clients expect. That's the problem, Claire responds, her patience wearing thin. Those rules are outdated. We're here to make sure every guest feels valued. Samantha crosses her arms, a smirk on her face. Not everyone deserves to be treated the same. Claire takes a deep breath, understanding that the real battle isn't just about policy, it's about changing hearts and minds. Just as Claire feels she is making progress, a major setback occurs. A high-profile guest, a longtime patron of Ocean Crest, files a complaint after being denied access to a service they had requested. The guest, accustomed to receiving top-tier treatment, feels insulted and publicly criticizes the spa's inconsistency in service. The complaint hits Margaret Henson hard. Claire is called into a tense meeting with Margaret and Henry to discuss the issue. Margaret, who had been fully supportive of Claire's vision, now appears worried. "This is exactly what I was afraid of," Margaret says, pacing the room. "We can't afford to lose guests like this. They've been with us for years and their word carries weight." Henry seizes the opportunity to reinforce his stance. "This is what happens when you try to change too much too quickly. The guests don't want inclusivity. They want exclusivity. That's why they come here." Claire listens quietly, formulating her response. She knows this is a critical moment. If Margaret sides with Henry, all the progress she's made could be undone. "I understand the concern," Claire says finally, "but this complaint isn't about the changes we're making. It's about a failure to communicate and implement those changes correctly. We need to focus on training the staff and making sure everyone is on the same page." Henry cuts in, his voice sharp. "Or maybe we just need to stop trying to fix something that isn't broken." Claire meets his gaze, unflinching. "It is broken, Henry, and if we don't address it, we'll lose more than just one guest. We'll lose our future." Margaret looks between the two of them, clearly torn. "We'll give it more time," she says, her voice firm but uncertain. "But I need to see results, Claire. We can't afford any more missteps." Claire leaves the meeting feeling the weight of the setback, the resistance from Henry, the sabotage from within, and now the guest complaint all threaten to derail her efforts. For the first time, she begins to question whether she can truly make the changes Ocean Crest needs. That night, as she sits alone in her suite, Claire reflects on the challenges she's faced so far. The emotional toll of trying to change a deeply entrenched culture is starting to wear on her. She feels isolated. Despite having a few allies like Jake and Lucy, the opposition still feels overwhelming. Her thoughts drift to the many guests she's seen turned away, denied access, or treated as less than simply because they didn't meet the spa's rigid standards. She knows that the current system isn't sustainable, but right now it feels like the weight of the entire spa is pressing down on her shoulders. For the first time since arriving at Ocean Crest, Claire feels a flicker of doubt. Is it possible to change a place so steeped in tradition and elitism? Is Henry right? Is she trying to fix something that can't be fixed? The next day, just as Claire is starting to feel defeated, Jake Richards and Lucy Adams approach her in the garden. They've noticed the strain on Claire's face and want to offer their support. "You're doing something really important here," Jake says, his voice filled with sincerity. "We've needed this change for a long time, and there are a lot of us who believe in what you're doing." Lucy nods in agreement. "It's not easy, I know, but don't give up. We're behind you." Their words give Claire a much-needed boost of hope. She realizes that while Henry and his faction are loud and resistant, there are others, like Jake and Lucy, who are ready to embrace the changes she's advocating for. They just need a leader to guide them. Claire thanks them both, her resolve strengthening. "I appreciate you both more than you know. We're not done yet." With Jake and Lucy's help, Claire begins quietly rallying more staff members who are open to change. Together, they build a small but growing coalition of employees who are ready to support the new vision for Ocean Crest. Despite the progress she's making with the staff, Claire knows that the real battle lies with Henry Wallace. His influence over the spa is still strong, and unless she can convince him to support her changes, or at least stop sabotaging them, the transformation will never be complete. Claire arranges a private meeting with Henry, determined to confront him directly. They meet in Margaret Henson's office, a neutral space where they can speak openly. "Henry, I know we haven't seen eye to eye," Claire begins, her tone measured but firm, "but I need you to understand that what we're doing isn't about destroying Ocean Crest. It's about making it better. We're trying to create a place where people feel valued, guests and staff alike." Henry listens, his expression guarded. "You don't get it, Claire. I've been here for years. I've seen what works. And what works is exclusivity. People come here because they want to feel special." Claire leans forward slightly. And they can still feel special, Henry. But making people feel special isn't about shutting others out. It's about creating an experience that makes them feel seen, respected, and cared for. That's the true meaning of luxury. Henry's face softened slightly, but he remained skeptical. You're asking me to change everything I've built. I'm asking you to evolve, Claire replies gently. I'm asking you to see that there's more to Ocean Crest than just exclusivity. There's a future here, but it's one where we have to grow, and we can't do that without you. For the first time, Henry seems to consider Claire's words. He looks down, running a hand through his neatly styled hair. I don't know if I can do this, Claire. I've spent my whole career protecting this place's reputation. Claire meets his gaze, her tone soft but firm. I'm not asking you to let go of the past, Henry. I'm asking you to build on it, to create something even better. After a long pause, Henry finally sighs, his shoulders sagging slightly. All right, he says quietly. I'll give it a shot, but I'm watching closely. If it looks like we're losing what makes Ocean Crest special, I won't hesitate to step in. Claire smiles, relief flooding her. That's all I ask, Henry. Let's make this place something we can all be proud of. With Henry's tentative support, Claire feels the tide beginning to turn. She knows that there's still a long way to go, but this moment marks a crucial breakthrough. For the first time, she believes that real change is possible. In this section, Claire faces growing resistance from within the staff and a major setback with a high-profile guest complaint. However, thanks to the support of key staff members like Jake and Lucy, and a breakthrough moment with Henry, Claire begins to feel the tide turning in her favor. The emotional stakes are higher than ever, but Claire is now more determined than ever to see her vision for Ocean Crest through to the end. With Henry Wallace now tentatively on board, the atmosphere at Ocean Crest starts to shift. While Henry remains cautious, his support lends Claire the credibility she needs to push her initiatives forward. The staff, many of whom had been on the fence, begin to embrace the changes as they see that Henry is no longer actively resisting them. Claire knows that Henry's support is fragile, and she works carefully to ensure that he stays engaged. In private meetings, she acknowledges his past contributions to Ocean Crest, reinforcing that the new direction they are taking is not about erasing what he's built, but evolving it. I need you to keep your eyes open, Claire tells him during one of their conversations. I want you to see for yourself how these changes are making a difference. If there's something that doesn't feel right, let me know. We're in this together. Henry, while still wary, nods in agreement. I'll be watching, but for now, let's see where this goes. As Claire's workshops continue, the changes in the staff become more evident. Jake Richards continues to be a driving force behind the shift in culture. His enthusiasm for the new direction is contagious, and he begins to mentor some of the younger staff members, encouraging them to take pride in their work and to see the guests as more than just clients. During one of the workshops, Jake leads a discussion about the importance of empathy in luxury service. It's easy to treat someone well because they're a high-paying client, Jake says to the group. But the real challenge is treating everyone like they matter, whether they're here for the most expensive treatment or just a simple massage. That's what will make Ocean Crest stand out. The staff listens intently, and Claire can see the gradual transformation in their attitudes. Lucy Adams, who had always been kind but timid, grows more confident in her role. She starts taking initiative at the front desk, greeting every guest with genuine warmth, regardless of their status. However, not all staff members are quick to adapt. Samantha Green and a few others continue to resist, though their opposition has become less overt. They still harbor doubts about whether these changes will ultimately benefit the spa, but with Henry no longer actively opposing Claire, their influence begins to wane. Just as Claire begins to feel the momentum of progress, another setback occurs. A high-profile guest, one of Ocean Crest's most exclusive clients, requests a private consultation with Claire. The guest, Eleanor Stafford, is a longtime patron of the spa and a well-known figure in high society. Eleanor has heard rumors about the changes happening at Ocean Crest and is concerned about how they will affect her experience. Claire meets Eleanor in one of the spa's private lounges. The atmosphere is tense from the beginning. Eleanor, dressed impeccably in designer clothing, wastes no time expressing her concerns. I've been coming to Ocean Crest for years because it offers something no other spa does. Exclusivity, Eleanor begins, her tone sharp. I'm hearing that you're turning this place into some kind of open-door facility where just anyone can walk in. Claire listens calmly before responding. Mrs. Stafford, I understand your concerns, but I assure you that the changes we're making are designed to enhance the experience for all guests, including those like yourself who have been loyal patrons for years. Eleanor's eyes narrow. But what about the exclusivity? That's why people like me come here. We don't want to be mingling, well, with people who don't belong. Claire's patience is tested, but she maintains her composure. What we're trying to do is create an environment where everyone feels welcome and valued, no matter their background or status. That doesn't mean we're sacrificing quality or luxury. In fact, we believe that by making Ocean Crest more inclusive, we'll elevate the entire experience. Eleanor remains unconvinced. We'll see, she says coldly, but I'm not sure I like where this is heading. Eleanor Stafford's discontent spreads quickly through the spa's elite clientele. Several longtime guests express concerns about the changes, fearing that Ocean Crest will lose its exclusivity and become common. The fear of losing their prestigious image shakes the foundation of what Claire has been working toward. This development puts Margaret Henson in a difficult position. As the spa's owner, Margaret knows that the loyalty of high-profile clients like Eleanor is crucial to Ocean Crest's financial success. She calls an emergency meeting with Claire and Henry to discuss how to handle the growing discontent among the elite clientele. We can't afford to lose them, Margaret says, her voice filled with worry. They're the backbone of this spa. If they start leaving, we're going to be in serious trouble. Henry, who has been silently observing the situation, finally speaks up. I've been saying this all along. The exclusivity is what makes Ocean Crest special. If we lose that, we lose everything. Claire remains calm but firm. I understand that the elite clientele is important, but we can't cater to them at the expense of everyone else. If we continue to only serve one type of guest, we're limiting Ocean Crest's potential. I believe there's a way to balance both, luxury and inclusivity. Margaret looks between the two of them, clearly conflicted. We need to find a way to reassure our high-profile guests that they're not losing the experience they value, but we also can't turn back now. We've come too far. Claire nods in agreement. I'll work on creating a specialized program for our elite clientele, something that maintains the exclusivity they're used to while still aligning with our new, more inclusive philosophy. We don't need to lose what makes Ocean Crest unique. We just need to evolve it. Claire gets to work immediately, designing a new set of luxury offerings that cater specifically to the elite clientele, without compromising the inclusivity she's been advocating for. The new program includes private, personalized treatments. High-profile guests will have access to exclusive, one-on-one consultations with top therapists and wellness experts. Elite memberships. Existing members will be offered a bespoke package that includes tailored services, exclusive amenities, and priority access to spa treatments, ensuring they still feel special without creating a culture of exclusion. Curated experiences. Claire introduces curated wellness journeys for elite members, offering them unique, high-end experiences that reflect their status, but are rooted in the core values of empathy, care, and respect. With these new offerings, Claire believes she can keep Ocean Crest's most loyal clients while expanding its reach to a more diverse audience. She presents the plan to Margaret, who is cautiously optimistic. This could work, Margaret says, reviewing the details. But we need to make sure that our elite guests understand that they're not being replaced. We're giving them something even more tailored to their needs. Henry, who had initially been skeptical of Claire's approach, begrudgingly acknowledges the value of the new program. It keeps the exclusivity while making room for growth, he admits. I still have my doubts, but this is a step in the right direction. A few weeks later, Eleanor Stafford returns to Ocean Crest to experience the new elite program. Claire personally oversees her visit, ensuring that every aspect of her stay is flawless. From the moment Eleanor arrives, she is treated with the utmost care and attention. Claire makes sure that Eleanor's experience feels special and exclusive, while subtly weaving in the spa's new values of inclusivity and respect. At the end of her stay, Eleanor meets with Claire once again. This time, her tone is less confrontational. I have to admit, the changes weren't as bad as I feared, Eleanor says. The new program is interesting. I still have my reservations, but I can see that you're trying to find a balance. Claire smiles, relieved that Eleanor is at least somewhat satisfied. We want to make sure that every guest, including those who have been with us for years, feels valued. I'm glad you gave it a chance. Eleanor nods, though her expression remains guarded. I'll be watching to see how things progress. With the elite clientele reassured, Claire turns her attention back to the staff. The workshops continue, and the once resistant staff members, including Samantha Green, start to come around. Claire makes it a point to check in with everyone individually, offering support and guidance as they adjust to the new way of doing things. Lucy Adams and Jake Richards take on leadership roles within the team, helping to mentor new hires and foster a culture of inclusivity. Lucy's confidence has grown immensely, and Jake's passion for wellness is now reflected in every interaction he has with guests and colleagues. As the staff becomes more cohesive, the energy at Ocean Crest shifts. The spa no longer feels like a rigid, exclusive fortress. It has transformed into a welcoming, luxurious retreat where every guest is treated with genuine care and respect. The true test of Ocean Crest's transformation comes in the form of an unannounced visit from Eleanor Stafford and a group of high-profile friends. This time, Eleanor has invited several influential figures in the wellness and luxury industries to experience the spa's new direction. Claire and the staff prepare meticulously, knowing that this visit could determine the future of the spa. Every detail is attended to, and Claire makes sure that the balance between exclusivity and inclusivity is perfectly executed. As Eleanor and her guests move through the spa, they experience the elite program Claire designed, as well as the warmth and welcoming atmosphere that now permeates Ocean Crest. The feedback is overwhelmingly positive. The guests remark on how the spa feels luxurious without being cold or impersonal, a balance that few luxury retreats manage to achieve. At the end of the visit, Eleanor approaches Claire with a smile, a rare display of approval from the often guarded woman. "I think you've done it, Claire," Eleanor says. "You've managed to keep the exclusivity without sacrificing the heart. This place feels different, in a good way." Claire feels a wave of relief and pride. "Thank you, Miss Stafford. We've worked hard to find the right balance." Eleanor nods, her eyes sparkling with a newfound respect for Claire. "You've impressed me, and that's not easy to do." As Eleanor and her guests leave, Claire stands in the Serenity Garden, watching them disappear down the path. The sun is casting a golden glow over the spa. Ocean Crest, once an exclusive and unwelcoming retreat, has been reborn as a place of true luxury, where every guest, no matter their background, is treated like they belong. In this section, Claire navigates the challenges of balancing the needs of the elite clientele with her vision of inclusivity. With Henry's support and the success of her new elite program, Claire proves that Ocean Crest can evolve without losing what makes it special. The final test, Eleanor Stafford's return, marks the ultimate triumph of Claire's transformation efforts. With the success of Eleanor Stafford's visit and the positive feedback from her high-profile guests, Ocean Crest transformation is now in full swing. The spa has not only retained its most loyal clients, but also attracted a new, diverse group of guests who feel welcome and valued in a way that was never possible before. Margaret Henson, the spa's owner, is thrilled with the results. The rebranding of Ocean Crest, emphasizing both luxury and inclusivity, has led to an increase in bookings, with guests leaving glowing reviews about their experiences. For the first time in years, Ocean Crest is being recognized not just for its exclusivity, but for its warmth and hospitality. Margaret calls a meeting with Claire, Henry, and the senior staff to discuss the next steps for the spa's continued growth. "I couldn't be happier with how things have turned out," Margaret says, beaming. "Claire, you've done something truly remarkable here. Ocean Crest is thriving in ways I never imagined." Claire smiles, grateful for Margaret's praise, but quick to share the credit with the team. "It's been a collective effort. Everyone here has contributed to making this transformation a reality." Even Henry Wallace, who had been the most resistant to change, nods in agreement. "I'll admit, I wasn't sure this would work, but seeing the way the staff has come together and the feedback from our guests, I can't argue with the results." The staff, once divided, now works as a cohesive team. Jake Richards and Lucy Adams have become leaders within the spa, their confidence and dedication inspiring the other employees. Even Samantha Green, who had been a vocal critic of Claire's changes, has softened. She approaches her work with a newfound sense of purpose, no longer viewing the guests through the narrow lens of exclusivity. Just as things seem to be settling into a rhythm of success, Ocean Crest faces one final test. A well-known industry critic, Julia Novak, announces that she'll be visiting the spa for a comprehensive review. Julia is known for her tough critiques, and her reviews can make or break a luxury establishment's reputation. Margaret, Claire, and the staff immediately prepare for Julia's visit. The pressure is immense. If Julia is impressed, her positive review could solidify Ocean Crest's new reputation. But if she's not, it could undo all the progress they've made. Julia arrives unannounced, as is her style, and begins her stay at Ocean Crest without revealing her identity to most of the staff. Claire, however, recognizes her and discreetly informs Margaret and Henry. "We'll treat her like any other guest," Claire says, determined. "The changes we've made aren't just for show. If we're going to succeed, it has to be because we're genuinely offering something better." Over the course of Julia's stay, she experiences everything Ocean Crest has to offer. From the new elite program to the spa's more accessible services, Julia sees how the staff has embraced the balance between luxury and inclusivity. Jake Richards personally attends to Julia during one of her spa treatments, and his genuine care and professionalism leave a lasting impression on her. Lucy Adams ensures that Julia's every need is met at the front desk, greeting her warmly each time she passes through the lobby. Throughout her stay, Julia interacts with a range of guests, observing how the spa caters to both high-profile clients and those who are new to the luxury experience. She takes note of the personalized attention each guest receives, regardless of their status. Claire, though nervous, remains confident that the changes she's implemented will shine through. She checks in with the staff regularly, offering encouragement and guidance as they work to make Julia's experience seamless. At the end of Julia's stay, she requests a private meeting with Claire and Margaret. The staff waits anxiously, knowing that Julia's review could shape Ocean Crest's future. When Julia arrives for the meeting, her expression is neutral, giving nothing away. She sits down with Claire and Margaret, reviewing her notes before speaking. "I've been to many luxury spas," Julia begins, her tone measured, "and I've seen it all. Places that focus entirely on exclusivity, others that try to cater to everyone and end up pleasing no one." Margaret holds her breath, while Claire remains calm, though her heart is racing. "What you've done here," Julia continues, "is something different. You found a balance that I didn't think was possible. Ocean Crest manages to maintain its luxury, its exclusivity for those who seek it, but it does so without alienating other guests. The staff is welcoming, the service is impeccable, and most importantly, the atmosphere feels genuine." Claire feels a wave of relief wash over her, though she remains focused on Julia's words. "The inclusivity you've brought to this place doesn't feel forced. It's clear that the staff has embraced this new culture," Julia says, looking directly at Claire. "It's rare to see a spa make such a significant change and still maintain its core identity. You've pulled it off." Margaret beams with pride, and even Henry, who had been sitting quietly, can't hide his satisfaction. Julia stands ready to leave. "I'll be writing my review in the next few days, but I can tell you now, it will be one of the most positive I've ever written." Claire, feeling the weight of months of hard work and perseverance lift off her shoulders, stands to shake Julia's hand. "Thank you. We're proud of what we've accomplished, and we're glad you saw that." Julia nods. "You should be proud. This place is a model for what the future of luxury wellness can be." Julia Novak's glowing review is published a few days later, and it sparks a wave of interest in Ocean Crest. The spa's bookings increase dramatically, and the once exclusive retreat is now recognized as a leader in the wellness industry, known for balancing luxury with inclusivity. Claire watches as the transformation she worked so hard to bring about takes root. The changes aren't just surface level. Ocean Crest has become a place where both guests and staff feel valued, respected, and cared for. Margaret offers Claire a permanent role at the spa, hoping to keep her on as a guiding force for the future. "You've done so much for us, Claire," Margaret says during their meeting. "We'd love for you to stay on as a permanent advisor." Claire smiles, touched by the offer. "I appreciate that, Margaret, But my journey isn't over yet. There are other places that need this kind of transformation, and I want to help them too. But I'll always be here if you need me. Margaret nods, understanding. You'll always have a place at Ocean Crest. Before Claire leaves Ocean Crest to continue her work elsewhere, she has one final conversation with Henry Wallace. The two of them walk through the Serenity Garden, where their journey had begun months ago, when Henry had been skeptical of every change Claire proposed. You've come a long way, Henry, Claire says as they walk. I wasn't sure you'd ever accept the changes, but you've been a big part of why this worked. Henry chuckles, shaking his head. I'll admit I fought you every step of the way, but you were right. Ocean Crest is better now than it ever was. It's not just about the luxury anymore. It's about how we make people feel. I didn't see that at first, but now I do. Claire smiles. That's the real heart of it. Luxury isn't just about appearances. It's about the experience. Henry nods, looking around the garden. I think I'll be able to keep this place running smoothly now. You've given us a good foundation. Claire places a hand on Henry's shoulder. You've got this. I have no doubt. The day Claire leaves Ocean Crest, the staff gathers in the lobby to say their goodbyes. Jake Richards and Lucy Adams present Claire with a framed photograph of the team, a symbol of everything they've accomplished together. We couldn't have done this without you, Jake says, his voice filled with emotion. Lucy nods, tears in her eyes. You've changed this place in ways we never thought possible. Claire smiles, accepting the gift with gratitude. It wasn't just me. It was all of you. You embraced the change, even when it was hard. That's what made the difference. As Claire walks out of the spa for the final time, she takes one last look at the place that had come to mean so much to her. Ocean Crest, once an exclusive retreat built on rigid standards, is now a beacon of what true luxury can be. A place where every guest, no matter who they are, feels welcome and valued. With renewed purpose, Claire steps forward, ready to bring her mission of transformation to the next destination. She knows that the work she's done at Ocean Crest is only the beginning, and she's excited to see what lies ahead. As Claire stands outside Ocean Crest, the sun setting over the horizon, she reflects on the journey she's taken, the challenges she's overcome, and the lives she's touched along the way. But more than that, she knows that the story isn't over. It's just the beginning. Turning toward the camera, Claire smiles warmly, her voice filled with both gratitude and excitement. Transforming Ocean Crest wasn't just about changing a spa. It was about showing what's possible when we embrace inclusivity, respect, and the belief that everyone deserves to feel valued. I'm proud of the work we've done here, but there are so many other places that need this kind of transformation. She takes a step forward, her energy unmistakable. If you've been inspired by this journey and want to be part of more stories like this, stories about real change, personal growth, and the power of community, I invite you to join me. Claire pauses, her gaze steady. Hit that subscribe button below and make sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. Together, we can bring positive change to even more places. With a final, encouraging smile, Claire adds, let's keep moving forward, one step at a time. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to share more with you.